Hi guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Beth and I am the Bookworm Trait. So this is OWLS Readathon vlog take 2. I tried to film a vlog last week. I filmed a grand total of once and it was a really long clip and I just wasn't feeling it last week. But we are back to try again this week, so fingers crossed I am a new woman. First thing I think I will do is update you on my reading. So I've currently completed 2 books. They are Lumberjanes, which was for Care of Magical Creatures, and Wicked King, that was my sequel for potions. Lumberjanes is a graphic novel about some Girl Scouts who encounter some magical creatures and magical things whilst they're at a summer camp, I think it is. I really love the art style. If you are someone who likes a really cutesy art style, you will really like the art style. Really need to find another way to describe that. But yeah, overall I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of between a 3 and a 4 star at the minute. Definitely not my favourite graphic novel, but definitely not my least favourite as well. There was a lot of things that were really enjoyable about it. Second book I finished today, and that was The Wicked King, and oh my god, I loved it. Although I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail on The Wicked King because it is a sequel, but I found The Cruel Prince quite difficult to rate. I really love Holly Black's writing, I love her world building, and I loved the plot, and I found the characters really intriguing, but there were some things that I really didn't like to do with the twists at the end, and to do with some of the relationships and the redemption arc. There were some things that I really didn't like in The Cruel Prince that fit into that box. But The Wicked King, I know a lot of people have said they didn't enjoy it as much, but oh my god, I just loved it. I loved Carden. I just feel so differently about him now. I love Jude. I love Jude anyway. I know a lot of people don't like her. I still hate Taryn. I still hate everyone else basically, apart from the ghost and the roach and okay, I can't really talk about it. I think I'm going to film a whole video on The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King because I have a lot to say, but there's spoilers involved and I want to talk about it, but I don't want to spoil people who haven't read it. So I'm just going to leave it there and say that that was a 5-star read. It was just gripping, enjoyable, I loved it. If you haven't read The Cruel Prince, I really would really recommend it. So I'm currently reading 3 books because why would someone just read 1 book at a time? I'm reading 2 physical books. I am reading Obsidio, and this is my book by 2 authors, and this is for arithmancy, I think. I am on page 159 of 615, so I've still got quite a ways to go with this. I was supposed to finish this in a week, and I picked it up on Wednesday last week. I picked it up on Wednesday last week, and yeah, I read 50 pages and then I didn't pick it up again until this week. So making slow progress with this, but actually I was gonna try and just bash this out in one go. This book's actually quite good for when you've just got a couple of minutes to read, because obviously it's not in prose, so it's not traditional chapters, so the sections can be a page to maybe 5 pages long. But I think I'm just going to continue reading this at quite a slow pace, because then I can just kind of read this as and when I've got a spare couple of minutes, and hopefully that means I can get more reading done because I can also prioritise other books. Plus I love this and it's the last book and I just want to drag it out for as long as possible because this is bae. We love this series. We don't want it to end. So the next physical book that I'm reading is Once and Future, and this fulfills 2 of the prompts outside of my career path. So it has sprayed edges for Transfiguration, and it is a retelling of the King Arthur story for whatever retelling is. I can't remember what that one is. I'm actually doing a buddy read with a couple of people from the Discord chat. So we are reading around 50 pages a day to have this finished by Sunday. So I read the first 50 pages yesterday, haven't read today's yet. It's been really enjoyable reading this with a group of people because we have quite different opinions on it so far. For me personally, this is not my favourite book. I'll be honest, if I wasn't doing this as a buddy read, I would be tempted to DNF it. I'd probably read a little bit further than where I am at the minute, but I'm really struggling with the writing style on this. I'm finding it very basic. There are things that I am really enjoying. There's a lot of representation in this, which is obviously great. And I think the premise of the story is really interesting. So this is following a female King Arthur in the future where society is like ruled by a giant corporation. And I think that's really interesting to kind of look at consumerism and how that could affect us in the future. But I'm just maybe worried that the execution on this is not going to be as good as I would like. So I'm currently predicting this to be 2 stars. I'm really hoping it picks up, but it is only short, so you know, if it's a 2-star read, it's got good rep, so at least maybe I'll learn. Maybe I'll learn something from it. So the final book that I'm reading, again, is outside my career path. And that is Under the Never Sky, which I am reading for divination, so a book set in the future. This is actually a reread of one of my favourite books that I've ever read, and I think I originally read this like maybe 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and I just loved it at the time and I really, really wanted to reread it. I'm 45% of the way through, so I'll probably finish this quite soon. And I just love it. It's just such a beautiful story. So Under the Never Sky follows 2 points of view. So we have Arya, who is a girl who lives in a pod, and we have Perry, who is a guy who lives outside of the pod. So it's set in a future where there's something called ether storms, which I think are like supposed to be like fire and water, or fire and electricity, or something like that. Which basically scorch the earth and have caused like mutations in diseases and things like that. So a lot of
So I then went on to describe in excruciating detail the plot for Under the Never Sky for a good 10 minutes. So the abridged version, basically we follow Raw and Arya as they have to travel through this scorched landscape, and as with any good YA dystopia, ultimately fall in love.
So yeah, I'm 45% of the way through. I'll probably finish that. So my plan by the end of the week, to finish my 50 pages of once I start reading it, I just can't put it down. Then if I have some time before I go to bed, I'll read a little bit of Obsidio, and then once I go to bed, I will read. I'll hold up my phone because I'll read it on my phone. I will read Under the Never Sky. So, last thing I want to say is I do. Originally, I wanted to read the audiobook, well, listen to the audiobook for attachment audio, because this is my herbology pick, but I cannot find an audiobook for this. That's not actual CDs. So I think I'm going to have to read this one. I think because it's quite an old book. The only other one out of my picks that I could go for an audiobook on would be Obsidio, and I want to read this. So I guess, again, I'm going to have to read out retelling because I was originally going to do A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which I'm not super excited to read. Then I could maybe do one of the Fairy Loot books for Transfiguration. So I could maybe do Skyward. Which I'm quite interested maybe if I can find one orphanage. I feel like I would rather do a contemporary. This has got really nice but that's not an option. This is also something I'm quite interested in. I think one of the other ones I would quite like to read is Circle of Shadows, which has got lovely like lilac-y sprayed edges. So I'll probably just have a look through the other one I could do is Raven Boys, but again that's one I think I would like to read. It's a book that I've been hyped about for a long time. So I'll probably go with one of those books that I just discussed. I don't know why I'm doing this. Okay, so it's Thursday. Ignore the ironing board. I did not update yesterday. And ignore the blanket. Mainly because I'm really cold. I was really tired and I just forgot. I didn't do much reading either. I only read my day's chapters. I'll have this finished by Sunday. I'm enjoying this a lot more than I was on Tuesday when I had 90 misgivings about the writing. Those are still there, and there's definitely some issues with how this is actually written. The writing is quite amateur, quite basic, and I'm someone who really loves lyrical, descriptive writing, so sometimes I do find myself a bit confused because I don't know maybe who's talking, what the characters are like, what the places are like, and I find it a little bit difficult to engage with them. But the plot I'm starting to enjoy a lot more. It's got a really interesting premise, and the mythology has obviously been very well investigated. That part of the story is really, really being developed. I also decided that I'm enjoying this a lot more. It's still not going to be any more than 3 stars, though, I don't think. 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo on audiobook, which I'll start tomorrow. And that's only really going to be my child's read, and I'm going to swap in Still Prince for hopefully read more tonight and have more to say tomorrow. Now I'm going to go and try and warm up because I'm freezing. So I went and got my dressing gown, so I'm feeling a little more toasty now. I'm back! There was actually some more things that I wanted to say about this book, but I just completely forgot. So I keep saying that I'm not really happy with the writing style in this book, and I don't think I've really explained what it is that I'm finding basic, and it's not simply how they're describing things. So the character of Lancelot is obviously, I also feel like there's in some cases a bit of a lack of detail. Yeah, the character who plays Lancelot in this story is a nothing character. Like, they have no personality whatsoever. And obviously with King Arthur, Lancelot is a very charismatic and very attractive character. So for me, that's really disappointing. That's not portrayed. But there's other things, like we don't get that same Lancelot. In the bit I just read, for me it feels like that character was a new character just used to get who's died to be like, they weren't them, they died within a chapter. We've just got rid of them. There's also some backstory that's starting to come out, and it's very. I feel like they had a good idea. I can't really say much more than that without spoiling you story. So this book is only 350 pages, and I feel like it's kind of like to cut corners, and I often feel this way about books, that there's too much story for the timeline that they've kind of given it. They've had to because I'm now so close to the end, I am also starting to worry a little bit about how they're going to wrap everything up. Or a 5-star read. Because there's still quite a lot to happen, and it is a duology, but I don't want to read a duology that's basically 2 books that have been split into 2. I want to read a duology that's 2 books that you can read and enjoy in their own right. And if I end this book not feeling so battery is running out because I didn't charge it since last time, and that's kind of how I feel like we'll quickly just update you on where I am with Under the Never Sky. So I've not made much progress with this. I think I've only read a chapter. It's very odd rereading this for so long because I haven't been reading much. I read a little bit today, but I don't remember like what order or what happens in this book, what happens in the next book. I remember like the big moments, and I don't know when they're going to come. So I don't know that I'm going to get too much more reading done tonight because I've got quite a lot to do. I've got a lot of uni work to do. I want to spend some time with my husband. But I'll probably read some more Under the Never Sky when I go to bed. I'm going to my friends, so I don't think I'll get too much reading done on I'll probably get like a chapter or 2 done. I might even miss out my chapters for Once in Future. Back to audiobooks. I actually only audiobooks I could find were Circle of Shadows, cold and tired when I was filming earlier. And I'm actually reading 2 sci-fis already, so I didn't fancy picking up another one. And Circle of Shadows, I just wasn't feeling it. So I decided to go with Raven Boys, which I said I wanted to read, but I thought, why not? I listened to about 5 minutes of Raven Boys and I just hated the narrator. They have a very distinctive accent, and I don't know where it's from. It's an American accent, so I don't know where it's from. But for me, it was just really off-putting. So that's my plan. So I'll probably read. So I've decided either to go with Evelyn and Hugo and try and get that as my adult read. And I've just got loads of books left. So yeah. Okay, so I'm actually going now, and I'm not coming back until tomorrow. Did I charge my camera yesterday? No. So I'm charging my camera now, which might mean we have a bit of a weird sound going on in the background. Last time I tried to film whilst I was charging my camera, I had to just scrap it because it sounded terrible. But this is going to just be a little shortcut, so it sounds really bad, which is why it's only short. Just please try and deal with it. It also means I didn't get really any reading done because I had to go to bed quite early yesterday. I couldn't listen to quite as much as I wanted because I'm having a few issues with Scribd at the minute. I did start letting me download anything, and then it just randomly won't let me stream it either. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's good. So I can't tell you how much I've actually listened to. Maybe an hour. So obviously I'm not very far into it, so at this moment in time... Yes, I'm going around to my friend's house really getting the hype that everyone else has been talking about, but it's early days, so we'll give it a go. I'm going to try and finish A Steel Prince. Well, so today's not going to be a great week. I'm going to try and read the whole thing in one go. I want to get at least one more book through my Potions TBR by the end of this week. because I am reading a lot of books that aren't part of my potions. So it's 23 on Saturday. So at this rate I'm going to do a lot of OWLS, but not the ones that I need to do. Pretty late for me, but I have had a really bad headache this morning, so I've been having quite a nice chilled out morning. But I am feeling a bit better now, so I've just started doing my makeup. I've actually done my eyebrows today, and I have taken a chunk out of this one. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, we had a little mishap there. So that's great. I think I managed half of Steel Prince. As I predicted, I did not read very much yesterday. Rating for this is not going to be very high. I don't think I'll be continuing with this. So I finished this. I know you can't really see it, sorry. Overall, I didn't like the characters, and it's definitely really a personal preference. Not enjoy the art, not the kind of art that I like in my graphic novels. How well you can see that. Just because they happen to be to hand, I'll show you like more what this is definitely like in a graphic novel. So I really love Snot Girl. This one's actually volume 2.
You can see it's a lot more of a like, I don't know how
actually there's a better way to do this.
Cutesy is what I'm gonna use, is what I'm gonna say. Obviously don't read what's in the bubbles if you can, because it's gonna spoil it. And then The Prince and the Dressmaker. Again, it's just like a lot cuter, like the facial features are a lot more defined. Whereas Steel Prince, I don't know, this gives me more like, the hair's a lot more textured. A classic kind of superhero-esque style. It's very dark. The facial features are just, in my opinion, like not very well defined. I don't know if this is going to be really blurry, so I might not use this footage. So yeah, depending on the quality, you may or may not have just had a little bit of that cute, and for my graphic novels with that's not cute. The art style wasn't cute in the style. I think it was supposed to be cute, but it just wasn't something that like matches my aesthetic. Not only that, like I just found the story very boring and very confusing. So there's obviously like all this magic, and the magic is shown through light and colour, but I don't know, I just found it very confusing. I do genuinely feel that's a personal thing, like I don't feel it's anything to do with the quality of the story or the quality of the artwork. Of course, not the quality of the artwork. It's just not what I like in my graphic novels. So yeah, I'm glad I've read it. So plan for today, it's going to just sit on my shelf until so I am going to find a better home for it. I also want to get 200 pages of Obsidio read, as well as around 100 pages of Once and Future, which will be my chapters for yesterday and today. If I can get that done, then tomorrow I will want to read about 250 pages, so the last 200 of Obsidio, my last 50 pages of Once and Future, because I would really like to get those books finished by the end of this week, so that then I can move on to my next lot of books next week. So yeah, I'm going to put some makeup on. I'm just going to make myself a humongous coffee and read going to do some work. I'm going to do it in our office / dressing room / storage
room. So I've made myself a huge latte. I put some peppermint hot chocolate powder in it. So taste test coming up now. I don't feel like mint and coffee are two flavours that really complement each other. But I'm going to drink it anyway. I've also got a pack of my favourite biscuits. These are salted caramel shortbreads and they are so good. So I'm just about to get started on this and I noticed I have a little note but, from one of my friends at work. So it's on this page here. You probably can't see what it says, but it says Godspeed Hypatia. Hypatia. I always call it Hypatia, but I don't know how you actually say it. And she just wrote me a little note saying most pointless page in the world. Put some ambient music on. I might actually like candles. I've chosen 2 Fairy Loot candles. Special. We've got Corvere, which is obviously Mia from Nevernight, and this is, I think, strawberry and black pepper. This is one of my favourite candles. And I thought it might go nicely with another one of the Fairy Loot candles, which is Will and Gem. And this is Tea and Sweet Sage. So, it's just my husband and his best friend hanging out. I'm going to watch this week's RuPaul's chilling downstairs, do whatever it is they're doing. Texting me about it. I'm just going to chill up here. Have you watched it yet? So I'm going to watch it. I got myself a big glass of wine. After I've watched RuPaul's Drag Race, depending on what they're doing, we'll decide what I do next. So, if they're still chilling downstairs, I'll read for a bit longer. If they're outside messing around, or if they're in the kitchen or whatever, so I will go and watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because I can only watch that downstairs, which is really annoying. So I plan to read 250 pages. So some of my husband's friends ended up coming over. Did not happen. Many drinks were had. Lots of games were played. I am a bit tipsy. We ate good food. But they are still downstairs. I'm kind of in the mood to read. Because I am a little bit drunk, I don't think I should be reading one of the books that I'm like really. Maybe I shouldn't be reading drunk. So I think I'm going to read a couple of chapters. I'm just going to do it before I go to sleep. I've not just got up. I've been up for a while, and I've been reading. It is 2:15. I'm nearly finished. I think I've got 56 pages left. I have not got some feeling about this book and to have some tea. You just got to sip the tea. So, I think when I'm going to do my wrap up a bit later on, obviously I will let you know. I'm going to read this. Obviously, you don't want probably give some spoilery thoughts on this. Some things have happened that I was not expecting. Yeah, just did not see some of these things coming, and I have a lot of feelings. Annoyingly, none of my reading buddies are up to the point that I am at, so I can't talk about it with them either. So I've just messaged them and I was just like, I've just read Saturday's pages, I am not okay. I'm gonna
quite
be doing a bit of
happy
uni
sitting
work
and
the
read
rest
now,
of this,
but
and after that
I
I'll
have
probably
work
spend
to
time
do
with my
so
husband. I'm not going to. And I'll probably read a bit of Obsidio. I'm going to save this for the evening. I'm going to get on with some new work now. Hopefully some of my buddies will go and eat some more of my biscuits too, and I'll be able to talk about it. One more thing, these two scents together literally smell like cookies, like out of how good these two candles smell together. The whole upstairs of my house was just filled with this scent, and it was just lovely. So if you have the Corvaire and the Will and Gem candles, top tip, burn them together. They smell so good. So there may or may not be some footage before this. It really is just going to depend on Sunday how that came out, because I had to take it on my phone. But basically I got hit with quite a bad headache around 2 o'clock, I think it was. And my sinuses as well felt really inflamed and really painful. Started feeling a little bit better after that, so I listened basically to I haven't been doing anything and did some drawing. I watched some television. So I used to draw. So I'm trying to get my artistic when I was younger, back, but it's one of those hobbies that is going to take some time. Just lost touch with. But I did some today, and I was pretty pleased with it, so that was good. I did that while I was listening to Evelyn Hugo. I'm enjoying Evelyn Hugo, but I'm not sure I'm 100% on that hype train. It's good. It's very, very much not a book. I think I did about an hour. I probably would have done a bit more. We'll see though. It's still early days. No, I did not do an hour. So I listened. But I had to move one chapter of listening to it, which wasn't very much. I think it was about find it on Audible 10 minutes because for some reason I couldn't get the audiobook to work anymore on Scribd. So I ended up listening to some part of it that I'd already listened to. So I probably did more than that, but of new stuff, it was only 10-20 minutes. My husband is out at the moment. He could be back any minute. So anyway, but until he does get finally back, feeling a bit better, to read the final chapter of Once and Future. Not the final chapter, my final section, which is 56 pages. I said a lot happened. A lot happened in yesterday's section. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this concludes. It's not going to be a 5-star read, but at the minute it's kind of picking up. And I feel like it's gone from maybe hovering between 2 and 3 to I actually tabbed a section of it. I don't think it's going to be a 4-star because I think the writing is quite poor. This was part of my drunk reading yesterday. So an example of the poor quality of this writing. And rather than having it ingrained, we obviously need to learn a bit about the discussion this planet between two characters. Basically, one of the characters just started sprouting facts about this planet, and it obviously was a bit weird because she had no reason to really be talking about it, and to kind of cover that up, it was she didn't know why she was saying all of this stuff, but it was just helping her to feel more settled in the moment. There's nothing indicated in anywhere in the book to do with this customer. This character's personality to suggest that in a stressful situation she would recite facts. That's not the character that we have come to know. So it's things like that
And
that
there's just
I'm
been
finding very difficult. A reveal about... There's also a lot of
some
insta-love in here. Relationship history. And it was done very poorly and made me very, very angry. But the plot itself is interesting, and there are points where I am really, really gripped. So, like, there is an enjoyment to it. It's just not ever going to be try and finish that everyone anyway is raving about. Was very difficult to say for some reason, sadly. I've got my ambience set up because I am downstairs. It means I get to watch it on the big screen. So I will just quickly show you that, and then I'm gonna get down to reading. I'm probably not going to wrap the vlog up tonight. I'm not going to finish Obsidio this week. I'm tired, I'm ill, and I have a lot that I want to talk about. I don't know. Maybe I'll just pick up another book anyway and just kind of read this in between that, like I've been doing with Once and Future. I don't know. So the quality is not great because I can't really be bothered to get up and film this anywhere near the TV. But I am watching, I think it's like Deep Space Noises or something by relaxingwhitenoise.com. I thought this would be quite apt, seeing as I am reading a sci-fi book. Probably not my favourite ambient noises, but I just feel like this is kind of the right sound to go with. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's kind of a mixture between like a washing machine, maybe a tumble dryer, and like an aeroplane. So it's Monday evening,
but anyway,
which means it is
now,
time to wrap this vlog up.
Bye!
So I did. So the graphic novel I read was Steel Prince. I can't actually remember. I tend to rate. I am going to be giving this. I just love 3 out of 5 novels. But this wasn't my favourite. I don't think I'll be picking up the next volume. The art style just didn't really gel with me, and the story was just kind of a bit confusing, I think. I believe I finished The Wicked King this week. I can't actually remember if that was last week. I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was an excellent Queen of Nothing. I don't know. To The Cruel Prince. I actually enjoyed it more than The Cruel Prince. I just loved that so much. So the last book I read was Once and Future. I'm giving this 3 out of 5 stars. If you don't want any spoilers on this, I am going to be going into this in a little bit more detail, or skip forward until you see me put the book down. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to go into spoilers now. So the plot of this book is really, really, really good. It's very original. I haven't read anything like this. Basically, Merlin is aging backwards. So the Merlin that we have in the traditional King Arthur story is like
young Merlin.
He has to
we have now got
try
old
and
Merlin,
stop
but he
Ari, who's our
in the
Arthur, from
body
repeating
of
a
a gay
cycle of
teenage
dying.
boy.
And she's like the 42nd, I think, reincarnation of King Arthur. She has this cast of knights. So we have Lamrak, who is gender fluid. We've got Val, who is gay. We have Jordan, who's asexual. And we have Gwen, or Guinevere, who is either bisexual or pansexual. It's not actually stated anywhere. And her brother Kay. So we all know the story of Prince Arthur, where he's betrayed by Guinevere, and the knights go on quests and stuff like that, and they have to kill. I think he has to kill Uther, his father, but Ari didn't have to do that. So Ari had to like defeat this corporation called Mercer. So it was a really interesting look at consumerism, which is something again I've just never come across in which any book before, and I thought was really, really interesting. Sealed off from the rest of the universe, and she also wanted to like find out what had happened to her planet and her birth parents, because she'd been brought up. So yeah, so there was a lot going on. There was the whole catch plot. There was obviously the love triangle between Ari, Lancelot, and Gwen that we knew was going to come up at some point. And then we also had defeating Mercer, and then there was also like Mercer were destroying Earth, because everyone lives in space now, and Earth's like a nature reserve, but they were like just butchering it. They were taking all the trees out, and like they were digging into the ground and excavating rock or something. I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, there was a lot going on in this book, and this book was only 349 pages, so that was a lot for the authors to try and figure out how we're going to resolve all of this in just a short amount of time. And for that reason, I think they kind of struggled sometimes to really make scenes impactful. So there was a scene where Ari actually killed the administrator who was the head of Mercer, and it was just like done. It was done. I was like, oh, so Lancelot, Gwen, cool, and you know, Ari, the love triangle was give me any kind of emotional one response. Of the worst that I've ever read. Lancelot turned out to be Ari's brother Kay, and basically they thought Ari was dead, and so they just decided to start a relationship with each other, which is kind of fine, but also not really. Like, you know, that's Kay weird. Also dies. To me, that's just really weird. And as soon as he's dead, they're like, right, let's get back together. And then Ari's not dead. I just found that so weird. I just thought, like, if you